Oh my, oh my, oh my. This was going to be a 5-minute quickie. 5 minutes of just sharing some information with you. And it's gone on for over half an hour. I'm sorry, but there is so much things I'm sharing with you. A story which was absolutely amazing. It only happened yesterday. And it was a magical result about a process that's coming into my mind, and I think it's brand new. And the results I got from it. And the things of how I did it. And well, I'm so excited. I want you to be excited. If you could just listen and, well, I'm going to share it with you. Just sharing with my excitement, if you would, just for a little while. And I know there is more than one golden nugget. And if you ask your unconscious mind, I wonder what golden nuggets I'll find in this episode today. I wonder what they'll be. And then all you've got to do is tell you another one.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey people, how are we today in this longer podcast? And I'm I know my voice doesn't sound that excited at the moment, but it will be, because yesterday something really, quite magical happened, and it reminded me of something that I want to share with you. But what happened yesterday? Well, yesterday was my turn to do a webinar in my son's mastermind group. I do 2 a month and he does 2 a month, and it was my turn. And I was preparing to do some stuff, and I was going to really just share some bits and pieces from a previous coaching call I did. And in that coaching call, I talked about learning how to present to people your ideas or a project or a suggestion or any type of presentation, and get everyone in that audience engaged. So you hit everybody, not just with your language, as it were, to make sure you get the people who visualize, or the people who like listening, or the people who like kinesthetic feeling words, those type of modalities, but no, actually get different parts of their personality engaged, so everyone really gets it. And the thing about this was, I was excited about that. And then I started to make my notes. And as I was making my notes, I thought to myself, as I do with my questions, I thought, what would happen if I adapted this process to deal with issues, real issues, issues, problems, things that I would look at in therapy? And I thought, I wonder if you could. Well, I know that as soon as you wonder if you could, then that obviously it presupposes you know where it is. You know there's a way. And it's weird, I guess, because the way I was asking that question, it wasn't just a random type thing. It was a very serious question. I really wonder if I could do something differently. What would happen if I did? And it set my intention, didn't it? And my state was curiosity, because I was already there. I didn't have to go and anchor that state and bring it back and fire off the anchor. No, I knew my intention was to find a new way. And asking that question of my unconscious mind, I just seemed to know something was going to happen. I don't know why. I just had this real good feeling. And so I sat down there with my notebook, and it was as if the idea, the inspiration suddenly, it just took form on the page. I wrote in the middle, my issue, because that was I love my mind maps, you know that. And then I started to go through the process of a presentation, adapting the specifics of that format into a way. And I started off with the skeleton, and I mapped each little part of the skeleton out, and I could see from the beginning to the 2 middles to the end, and it just seemed to work. And then I put a few more little bones and a bit more flesh to that skeleton, and it got richer, and I got more excited by it. Then I put some skin on it, as it were, and boom, there it was. This process was born, and I've still got to check it out to see if it is. I know it's not a brand new process in the way that I've cobbled, it's evolved from something else, but I don't think there's a process like it for dealing with issues. And I've got to check that out, because if it is, or if it isn't rather, old Cluffy's come up with something pretty magical. And the thing is, here's what happened. You see, I'm getting pretty excited now. And I started to explain a little bit about the original process of just presenting an idea, presenting a project, and a few examples of my past where I'd presented something in that way. And each time I did it, following that protocol, things just seemed to happen. And we got, well, put it this way, I got what I wanted from each presentation, which was magical. But that was in the past. But then I said, well, come on then. How about we change it? Because I've been thinking about something different. Would everyone would they be brave enough to follow me with this process? And we'll also do it in hypnosis. And of course, I got thumbs up yeses because everyone, they were excited as I was then. And so we won't do a full-blown 10 out of 10 issue, but we'll do a 5 out of 10. So something that is important enough to deal with. But I just want to make sure the process works. I didn't want something that I wasn't hands-on, just in case we needed a little bit more work. And so I got some thumbs up, said, have you all got your issue ready? And they said, yeah. I said, right, here we go. Close your eyes and breathe. You know how I do it. Making every in-breath more gentle than the one before. And then I just proceeded to induce that wonderful feeling of hypnosis with their unconscious mind. And I went through this process, and it was as if I was putting even more flesh, more skin on that skeleton, and it just flowed. And it didn't just flow all the way around. It flowed back on itself to reinforce itself, which is really just magical to do for me. I really enjoyed it. And then when we came out of that trance, feeling eyes open, wide awake, and I said, look, I'm really interested now if you'd all share your feedback. I'd like to know how, when you think about that issue, that problem, what happened? I didn't even say that problem you used to have, trying to, imply that it's already gone. Because I didn't want to taint whatever the result was it was going to be what it's be. And guess what? This is what happened. And you see, have you ever had a brilliant idea and you've been wandering along, just minding your own business? A bit like me when I'm walking the dog and I've got my earphones on and I'm listening away and something comes to mind. Have you ever had it when you just have an idea out of the blue, or it seems to be out of the blue, and then you've gone home and it's forgotten? It seems to have disappeared, doesn't it? And as much as you keep going, what is it? What is it? And you probably say to yourself, well, I think I've forgotten it now. And guess what happens? You've forgotten it, as opposed to, I'll remember it soon. That's a better statement. But we tend to forget it, don't we? And then, have you ever had this? A little time goes by and you hear someone else say that very same idea and they've done something with it. Or you see a book has been written with that idea. Or you hear people talking about it with that idea. And you were nowhere near them. It wasn't a case of you might have told them about it because you've forgotten about it. Yet that idea has stuck. How does that happen? How? I don't know. Well, I sort of understand it. It was explained to me, and I don't know how true this is because you can't test it, but it's like ideas float around the multiverse, the universe. And it's as if when you're in tune and you've got that frequency of curiosity or in that particular vein, that content and context, the ideas come. And it could well be that half a dozen people, other people that you don't know in different places, are in tune too. They have that same frequency at that very moment. And you all get that idea. And nearly everyone forgets it, apart from maybe one. And they do something with it. And what do? Because how could you stop that happening? If you knew that you were going to get an idea like that, and you want to keep it, what do? I know this is going to be a flash of the bleeding obvious again, and this is born out. I mean, I like journals, but the thing is, I was listening to a couple of podcasts, and they're quite old. One was Jordan Peterson, who is, as you know, he's very elegant and eloquent with his language. Says about his ideas that he has to write them down so he can think about them, muse about them, because if he doesn't, they disappear. I thought, that seems to gel. And there's a guy called Joe Rogan, if you know about the Joe Rogan Experience, our biggest podcast in basically the world. And he's an awesome bloke. He is a hero of mine. And he's I've never met him, but he appears to be such a nice guy. Just a regular, nice guy. And he swears a lot. So I'm not going to swear. But what his part was about when you have an idea, he said, write that sucker down. He didn't say sucker, but you know what he said. Write it down. And that's what you have to do. You have to write these things down. I tell you this every time when we're working through an exercise. Get your journal out, write the questions down. Because if you don't, it goes in one ear. And as another one comes in, you push that thought out the other ear. I don't know if it actually goes like that biologically, but that's what it seems to be to me. So you have to write that sucker down. Now, how do you do that when you're wandering along? Well, I know what you could have a little, one of those tiny little moleskin books. The moleskin books are the beautiful ones. They'd love you to feel. But you can get a little notepad, have a little pen with a little bit of elastic band around it so it doesn't fall out, or pencil. Write the notes down as you come along. When they come along, sorry, get my words right. Now, what I do when I'm walking the dog and I've got my phone with me, I use Evernote, and I'll very quickly type in Evernote, just a little bit about it. So I can either come back to maybe the podcast or what I was listening to, but enough details to spur my memory again. And then I can expand upon it. Where can you expand upon it? Well, you get a journal. And a journal can be from A5 to A4. And I love A4 ones when I'm really working, because I can open those suckers. What a lovely word, sucker. You can open them up and it becomes A3. And my little note goes in the middle and I start expanding my mind map, just as I did with that process. You could have, this is what I used to have, and I still play with them. I have different journals for different things. So I used to have a journal for the podcast. I've changed it now, but I'll show you that in a minute, or tell you about that in a minute. But I have journals for the Q&As I do. I do journals for inspiration, ideas, things I'm worried about, the serious journal, all that stuff. And I also have a journal that I just write my daily thoughts down. Just journaling in the morning, normal journaling type diary type thing, but in a specific way. But I love my mind mapping. And what I'm using now when I expand from my iPhone or my little notebook, I haven't got an iPhone, by the way. I've got a different thing. I think I've got Samsung, but Evernote comes everywhere. I'm now using the Rocket Book. And by the way, saying all these things, I get nothing for it, by the way. This is just me telling you the things that I find that really works for me. The Rocket Book, and it's like a plasticky type book, and the pages aren't paper, but they're nearly as good as paper. You write on them, you get your phone, you take a picture of it with this special app, the Rocket Book app, and boom, you put it where you want to. You can have it on Google Drive, you can have it on OneNote, you can have it on Evernote, you can have it wherever you like. So I can make notes and I can then bring them up on my screen, I can have them on my phone, I can remember them, they don't just disappear. And the best part about that is when people moan that you've got all these journals around, I've got my other one on my phone, so I can just look at it whenever I like, or on my laptop. I thought to myself when I bought the Rocket Book, I thought it was a bit expensive to start off with, but I got a little deal with it. And then I just started using it. And now I talked about with my younger son about it. He bought one the same day and he loves it because he does telephone calls and coaching online, and he makes his notes, and then he can store them and he knows where they are. He puts it in his, was it not Topboxy, whatever one it is, Dropbox. You can see how IT I am on that. I don't have Dropbox. But the thing is then, when you use your mind mapping, and if you learn, I say mind mapping because I think it's an absolutely brilliant way, because I can remember the mind maps as well, because you can make them visual. And once you're visual, you can remember the look of them and you can just follow it. And if you really want to know how to do that, they were, I guess, invented. I think they've been trademarked by a guy called Tony Buzan. And you get his book. It's not that expensive, about how to do mind mapping. There's loads of other things on site, and I'm sure on websites, and I'm sure on YouTube. But Tony Buzan was the originator of it. And that's where I learned it. And it was awesome. But whatever any of those do, I'm just suggesting to you, find a way that when you get an idea, inspiration, you have something at hand where you can make a little note, and then you have a time and place where you set aside each week for writing down those ideas. And then from that idea, you can schedule in some time in your week to expand upon them and do things. I've got to expand on mine about that process to see how I can make it so rich and so, not just meaningful is the wrong word, but so productive and so powerful, and so that it works all the time. That's something I've got to work on, but I know it's going to be that way. But whatever you do, have that and do whatever works for you, and change things, move things around, so you can say, well, okay, well, Paul uses Evernote, but I want to use something else because I can do it slightly differently. Do it slightly differently. I want you to do the things that makes you feel comfortable. When you're comfortable and you're curious and you're emotive about it, boom, it's gold. It's gold dust. That's what I wrote down on here. It's gold dust. Because you see, when you write it down, the biggest thing about writing these things down, I can come back to that process now because it's written down. Because in my presentation notes, I've got it online so I can see it whenever I want from any medium. And when the muse gets me and that inspiration comes, I can go back to it and flesh it out more. I can trim bits off what don't need to be there. I can add more subtleties. I can just do whatever makes it better. And then I can put it down again until the inspiration comes back, until I'm ready to make it into the written form or make it into a project or make it into something. You see, I had a meta idea of this, and it was never let a good idea, just never let them go. Don't let them pass. And the thing is, you don't know how good that idea is going to be. It might be you look at it today and you go, well, here's an idea, but I don't think it's going to fly. It doesn't really motivate me at the moment. It's not quite gelling with me, but you've made a note about it. And obviously in your scheduling, you're going to go look through my notebook or look through my ideas book, and it's going to come back again. And you're going to look at it and go, maybe there's a little bit you can add to that, but it's still not flying, but it's still there. It's not going to disappear. And then the next time you come back to it, boom, you go, damn, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it. And that's the gold dust in this. The simple thing of write that sucker down in any medium you like. Because I just want you to get excited about it as I am, because I know when you get those ideas, that inspiration, you can take that massive action, just like the 5 keys to success. And when you're excited about these things, you're going to get so motivated. This is just too important to miss. Those ideas, that's what I mean. Those ideas are too important to miss. And you see, for me, it was so important to remind me what I already knew to get even richer with those things that I knew. And that's awesome to me. I hope you can find that golden nugget. And try it. Try it for the next 30 years. No, 30 days. As long as you like. But do try it. Just get a piece of paper if you want. If you're not going to invest in a notebook, I'm going to have this one piece of paper, which is my ideas paper. And let them flow. Keep it in your back pocket or your front pocket or your whatever pocket. Always have it ready. Have your phone ready. And I bet you will have so many ideas come. Because here's the other thing, what you do. When you do that and you've set out your stall, you're ready. You're anticipating those intuitions, those ideas, those flashes, those aha moments, those epiphanies. Guess what? You've set your intention. You've told your unconscious mind, I'm ready. I'm ready to take action. That's what we've been talking about, isn't it? If you want something, you have to put effort in, emotion in. And this is what you're telling your unconscious mind, I'm ready. And when your unconscious mind knows you're ready, do you know what? Well, you're just going to get so much out of this. I'll be amazed that if you don't have a wonderful idea in the next 7 days, just by listening to this, if you let it sink in, prepare yourself, set your intention, get your books, your journals, your phone, whatever you want, and you don't have an idea that comes and you go, do you know, this is gold dust. Good old Cluffy, you'll say, good old Cluffy. And because you say good old Cluffy, what you're going to do probably is let me know, because that could be part of your idea. As soon as I get this idea, I'm going to let Cluffy know. How am I going to let him know? I'll email him. I wonder what that email is. I think he's told us once before. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. And just let me know. You don't have to tell me the idea. If you did, I'm not going to pinch it. You can share ideas. I'm sharing my ideas with you. But share it. But certainly share me the results you get, or the feelings you got, or how you develop this even richer for yourself. How you molded it, modeled it, and made it something that's your own. Love to hear that. And that's the type of things we can share, the processes we can share, and just the results maybe. Because that's an inspiration to me, an inspiration to other people. When we share these things, that's that integrated field of learning, putting it out there. You keep it, but you share it with somebody else as you keep it too. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? So do send me that feedback and share. Now, here's the thing. One thing I wanted to tell you through all of this, and this was only going to be a 5-minute quickie, and I can see now that it's over 20 minutes already. I'm thinking of only having the longer podcasts come out every Saturday, once a week. I know I've been doing 2 a week, and in the mad world, which I said I would never mention again, I was doing every day. But I wanted to get, a little bit more subtle, maybe a little bit more deeper, a bit like this particular thing. It's got quite deep. And I want to explore things a little deeper with you. And to do things twice a week it's quite taxing, actually. And because I'm all here just by myself, little old Cluffy here, doing the notes, the editing, the presenting, and then the editing again, and the uploading, and the writing the notes, I do all of that. You might think they're done very professionally. And they might be done by a professional, but they're not actually, they're done by me. Or if you're very good at English, you'll realise old Cluffy did it. But here's the thing. I'm hoping to change that so we can get a really good, longer podcast, 1 a week. And then as little bits of inspiration come along, the old 5-minute quickie will come back in again. It'll come in the middle of the week, just like this was going to be, a 5-minute quickie. And is it a 5-minute quickie? Well, obviously not. But hopefully there'll be ones that I can give you some useful information, share some things I've found, maybe things of interest, a bit like that rocket book and things like that, just to give you some information before we dive deeper into other things. Hope that's okay with you. If you have some thoughts what those deeper dives could be, use that same email address, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. I'd love to hear what your thoughts were. As usual, I've had 1 or 2 come and give me some ideas. And I like yours too, because that would be awesome. And if you really want more 5-minute quickies, you'd have to let me know. But that's the type of thing I'm looking to do now, so I can start to get deeper and then spread my efforts into different things and other projects that I've got in mind. But I want to keep this podcast going because, well, I enjoy it. And I like writing things down. I like doing this stuff. So if that is okay with you, do subscribe. Do subscribe to this podcast and know that at least once a week, you're going to get something which I hope has a golden nugget, which will just help you find more light in your life. So I can shine just a little bit of light of inspiration maybe, or motivation in the little crack that you leave open. And then we can really brighten up our lives. There's a metaphor in there somewhere, I know. So there I was, finishing this webinar. And I said to everybody, eyes open, wide awake. Can you spell your name backwards? H-G-U-O-L-C. Never have that written down. I always spell my name backwards. And it's a lovely break state. And I said, right, can I have your feedback if that's okay? And I said, I want the most honest feedback you can give me. So, I know sometimes we get people who want to please us with the feedback. But I said, no, I just totally honest feedback. Because if this didn't work, it didn't work. And I've got some homework to do, or maybe scrap it, I don't know. But let me know. And here's some of the feedback I got. One person said, well, I'm feeling a total sense of freedom from the problem now. Oh, whoa, that's not a bad one. A total sense of freedom from the problem. Another person said, well, the problem's no longer important. It seems to resolve itself. I'm going, this is amazing. I asked another person, said, more feedback. And they said, well, here's my feedback in 1 word, or 2 words it was. It's gone. I said, repeat that. The problem has gone. It's disappeared. It's just gone. And I'm thinking, wow, this is when it started to blow my mind. Because every person had their own individual problem. And I didn't know what it was. So it's totally content free. I hadn't got an idea. So there were random problems, and they were probably in different contexts with different experiences and different wants and results and all that stuff. Yet the process gave them freedom. The process allowed that issue to become no longer important in their lives, just disappearing, gone. Isn't that amazing? From a little bit of intuition and writing it down. When I've honed in this process, I'm going to let you know how it goes. And maybe you'll want to experience it too. Just letting go of an issue without... They didn't even tell me the name of their problem. No idea what it was for each one of them. I just said, bring that problem to mind, and now we'll begin. Isn't that Well, to me, isn't that magic? To me, it was purely magical. It wasn't magic. It's magical. And all gratitude to my unconscious mind and all the days of my past where I've learned all these skills that I didn't know how they're going to use. And obviously, they've suddenly come together for me and for those people. And hopefully, if I get this right, for a lot more in the future. Anyway, that's what it can do when you write it. What would happen, though, if you think about it now? What would happen if I didn't write that down? If I didn't write that initial thought down, and then I didn't schedule and sit down and commit to writing the blooming thing down? Well, I know what would happen. I wouldn't be speaking to you about it now. So, in those immortal words of Joe Rogan without the swear words, write that sucker down and remember it. Hey, have more fun than you can stand. And I'm going to look forward to seeing you with a hopefully a shorter 5-minute quickie than this, because this has gone on for nearly half an hour. But I hope you enjoyed it. I know I have. Let me know. Let me know exactly how you get on. And do remember, I'm going to always do a little bit at the end of like closing things up with an outro. But do remember to have a look at Paul Clough Online. There's some lovely programs there. And also think of the email list. If you want to be in my email list, I've got one or two thoughts of how things are going to change in the future. If you want to be on it, you have to commit to come on it. And you go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. That's where you get all the free hypnosis, but also you get onto my list, which gets a newsletter once every so on. They're not regular, but they're sort of irregular. And I can then share with you new things or the new hypnosis tracks and new thoughts in my mind, or remind you of what episodes you may have missed that you may want to just come back and look at, listen to. So have a think about that. So Paul Clough Online, if you want to see some lovely programs and some premium hypnosis tracks, or paulcloughonline.com/podcast to come on my emailing list. I think you got to do both, haven't you? Anyway, until the next time, enjoy every heartbeat. And always remember, what would happen if you, the unconscious mind, were to surprise their conscious mind in feeling wanton pleasure more than they could stand? That would be a surprise, wouldn't it? Have fun. Enjoy. Until the next time, it's Cloughie from, it's Paul Clough, using that old hypnosis, NLP and timeline therapy and everything else for your own personal enjoyment and development. Unplugged. See you soon. Bye. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, where I, Paul Clough, try to deconstruct the things that have been made complicated, into easy steps so we can get such a big return on our investment and become who we're really destined to be, and we should be and could be, and sing from our own voice, follow our vision, and just get what is here for us in this world, and make this world a better place than it was when we first came into it. That would be awesome. While you're doing that, if you'd love to pay it forward, if you enjoyed this episode or you enjoy the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, please pay it forward by sharing it with as many people as you can. If you only did 2 a day, that would be great. Just 2 people, quick text, boom, that would be awesome. Just keep sharing it if you would, please. It really helps people listening. Obviously, more people listening, more people get this, we will make a difference. Also, have you subscribed so you get this podcast and every episode into your listening device of choice? If you haven't, do that. Go to the one where you listen to this now and you'll find a subscribe button. Do that. And also, would you put a review out onto that thing you're listening to? If you would, that would be awesome. That also helps this podcast get a little bit more popular and spreads the word. And remember, there are over 47 tracks of hypnosis. They're all free. They're all accompany these podcasts, and they'll make a world of difference to you if you listen to them. I know they will. How do you get them? Just go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Sign up and you'll get access. You'll get an email access to all of these and more as they come available. Don't worry about your email address. It goes nowhere other than for me to give you that link. And maybe the odd email newsletter type thing once in a while, not very often, but nowhere else. Never shared, never given away. It is so personal, and I really want to keep it for you. And lastly but not leastly, I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you. There's so many things you could be doing, listening to, and you listen to this. Thank you so much.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.